Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik from RazorEmporium.com, continuing our journey on the Razor Archive series of videos. We've talked about the 30s, we talked about the Great Depression, and we need to talk about the biggest thing to happen to Gillette in 30 some odd years of producing razors, and that was the one-piece design. So many people, I'm talking to a friend, I'm talking to a family member, and I tell them I'm into double-edged razors, and the thing they always do, they say, oh, like the ones you twist the bottom and the butterfly doors open up, and they always do this, and they always say, oh, a butterfly is open, the barn doors open, the silo doors open. They always reference this razor. This is the grandfather of them all. The 1934 Gillette Aristocrat. The very first razor to feature the butterfly design. Why, might you ask? And you're asking, why would Gillette create a butterfly razor? Well, a couple things were happening. First off, they just had their merger with Valet Autostrop. And if you know the Autostrop razors, they're a lot more kind of mechanically machine kind of cool looking. They have little gears and the strop went through them and it flipped the blade back and forth, and there was a lot of mechanics going on. Another interesting razor in the early 30s came out, the Seagal razor, that had an interesting twist feature where you twisted the bottom and the entire cap kind of came up and pivoted and stood up vertically. You'd slip a blade over it and they would kind of come back down. The fault with that was you had to use a special blade that had this opening wide enough for the head. Well, the people from Valet, who are now part of Gillette, and the Gillette engineers worked together and wanted to create something different. And that is the impetus of the Aristocrat razor. Now, Aristocrat, we know from our other videos, was a line of a class of razors. There was always kind of the top tier, kind of the nicer premier razors. And they wanted to introduce this one-piece butterfly style design with a high-end model. So they chose the Aristocrat name. They brought it back. They featured this bulldog style handle with its barber pole design, kind of that spiral design. And they also wanted to have the price point kind of justify this new thing. And like Gillette always did, it came out at Christmas. And at Christmas of 34, it came out in this beautiful, handsome metal box, very, very similar to the boxes from the new improved era. There were also metal like this. Very similar blade bank to that style. Wouldn't be surprised if some of this is from that same era or the same contracted companies were making this. But this is the 34 Aristocrat. Even the instructions bifurcate right down the middle, which I think is just such a cool feature to really kind of introduce the fact that it's opening up. And just like this little ad here depicts, this little instruction manual depicts, the entire reason for the butterfly design, here it comes, people, the entire reason for the butterfly design was changing blades faster. It's not just because it looks cool. It's not just because it somehow gives a different shave. It is all about changing blades. And hey, that was their business. Gillette knew that if you wanted to change the blade more often, you were probably going to be buying more blades because you were going to be more apt to maybe say, hey, this blade could be sharper. I'll just load a new one up. I'll load a new one this fast. And all their ads showed, twist, it's open. Drop the blade, twist, it's closed. In fact, they had it called a quick opening razor. That was their patent, said it was a quick opening. That was the whole idea. You can open it fast, change the blade, close it back up, and keep on shaving. And keep on buying more blades from them. That's the game, people. Always has been, always will be. That's the Aristocrat razor. Now, there were other razors in this era of the original one-piece, Generation 1 as I call it. But we'll get into those another time. What you should know about the Aristocrat is that at Christmas it was featured in this gold-plated box, the razor and the box 24 karat gold. But then later in 35, 36, even up through almost 1937-ish, they were in a leather box. Nowhere near as fancy as this. This was really a Christmas thing. But you look at the styling, very Art Deco. Very hard to find this original set, especially with the original directions, original tag like this. The price point on this was $4 in 1934. That's a lot of money. Probably $60, $70 today. So definitely a high-end product for somebody of that era. I would say on a rarity scale of 1, you can find this anytime you're out thrifting, to 5. This belongs in a museum. I'd give this easily the razor alone, 3, maybe 3.5 for just the razor. And then if the razor condition's nice, it's not all completely beat up like this. This is an original condition. It's gorgeous. We're going way up there. We're now maybe 4.5 out of 5. And then if you add the box and the instructions, easily 5 out of 5. So one interesting thing to note I want to mention really quick. This is all great esoteric information, but nuts and bolts. If you have one of these Generation 1 butterfly razors, you'll probably notice that sometimes this entire head can shift and kind of teeter-totter back and forth. And that is kind of a flaw of this Generation 1 butterfly razor. You'll notice that the T-bar does not come through the doors. The T-bar is flat and goes the entire distance, and then the doors close together the entire distance. You also notice there's no end caps. There's a lot of things about this first generation, which include the Aristocrat, the Senator, and the Sheraton, that were improved with Generation 2, as I call it, or the Lords and the Super Speeds and other razors, Region Techs, Tech Rangers, that really improved upon this design. So if it shimmies back and forth as it closes, that's kind of just the way it was made. And as parts loosen up over time, they do more of that. Mine's in nice condition, and so it doesn't do it as much. But it's a flaw. This center bar that connects down to your bottom, it only has one rivet connecting the horizontal bar. So that one rivet allows it to pivot. If it's tight, it's nice, but as it loosens up over time, it'll kind of do this. And if it gets dropped, that's the other big problem with this razor series. If you drop this razor, the open guard design here ends up getting in the way of the end cap passing through it and camming, or kind of having it rotate open. And so you also will really have TTO issues. Very common on this series of razors. We fix a lot of them here at the shop. When we get these in, we actually solder the T-bar and the rod together so that they're in a permanent perpendicular position, so they can't teeter-totter anymore. So it's one of the things we do here to try to improve upon this. But we're limited by what Gillette did. And like any razor on the market, razors designs go through evolutions. And this was Gillette's first attempt at a butterfly razor. It was not their best, it was their first. That's all I have on the 34 Aristocrat. If you like what you saw, if you own one, if you know something I don't know about the razor, tell me below. And if you do, you are entered in to win this, the official Razor Emporium black and blue t-shirt. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Like the video, share with a buddy, post it around. We appreciate all of your support. Come back to Razor Emporium anytime for all things vintage shaving.